What's up, peeps? Happy Saturday night. I wanted to get into some details of this Fox Sports lawsuit that involves Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, and could potentially involve Marcellus Wiley. So, if you don't know, there is a former hairstylist, Nishin, I'm blanking on her, I believe it's Faraj, who is suing Fox Sports along with Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor and a man named Charlie Dixon, who is the VP of content over at FS1. Well, we've heard a lot about, Joy allegedly sleeping with the Charlie Dixon individual and with her co-host Emmanuel. Is it H-O? Ocho? I always jack up his last name. But him. Here are some of the things that people aren't talking about. I asked the question myself. Why was Nishin targeting Joy? At one point in time, they were friends. Joy allegedly shared some of these details with her, which is how they ended up in the lawsuit. But the reason why Nishin is targeting Joy is she claims that, what's up, forensic accountant? Glad to see you checking in here. So Nishin claims that Joy got her removed off of, I can't remember which show because, if it was Speak or if it was when she moved on to the other show, because they were no longer friends. So this is in the latter half of the 42-page lawsuit. So here's the thing. I'll tell you what she says and then what my opinion is about what she's saying happened. So effectively, something happened. Nishin was having various interactions, problems with other people involved in the shows and on the lot. And there were HR conversations that took place. In one of those conversations, she was asked about the rumors about Joy and Emmanuel sleeping around. And she confirmed it because she felt that it was common knowledge. Well, it wasn't. So basically, she dimed her friend out. Friends, forensic accountant says, how many of us have them? In this situation, it doesn't seem like a lot. So she shared that information with AR. So after that, Joy got cool with her. We all know the stuff that she says about Charlie Dixon allegedly fondling her and how Joy allegedly responded to all of that and told her to get over it, put on her big girl panties and deal with this entity that was Fox Sports that had sort of a locker room environment about it. So essentially, Joy was kind of cool on her. And then, here is the thing. This is a side, right? I was wondering for a while, why does Joy's hair not quite look on point? Well, now we know why. It was Nishin that was doing it. At a certain point in time, after Nishin dimed out the relationship to HR by accident, because she was called in about something else. As I said, she was having other issues and situations with other coworkers that worked there. Her direct superior, she alleges, told her, I don't like you, that she was forced into taking her on in that role by Charlie Dixon as a favor. And we'll get to the details of that in a second. But what happened with Joy is that Joy said that she no longer wanted Nishin doing her hair because she felt that as a Black woman, she should have a Black woman doing her hair. I can't say that Joy is wrong in making that request, but perhaps the timing and the sincerity of it was off. But I can't say that she's wrong about that, right? Because Joy's hair would look a little off sometimes when she tried to get into styles that maybe weren't solidly in her wheelhouse. But that's aside. So that is part of why she is targeting Joy, because Joy, the way that the shifts were set up, there were only a limited number of slots for hairstylists, makeup artists, etc. And basically they started freezing her out, which is not an uncommon tactic that we see. What's up to Adam Milan in the chat? Thanks for tapping in. For some reason, I can't see your messages. But anyway, so the friendship dissolved and she was slowly being edged out of her position as hairstylist on these variety of shows, right? In the meantime, she had leaked some information inadvertently, according to the information that is in the lawsuit, to HR about Joy and Emmanuel, because they were asking around and it went away. At that same time period, she was doing Skip Bayless's hair. So what it sounds like, and from what some other Fox Sports talent had, when you were going to a show every day or any work environment and you're around a bunch of people day in and day out for several hours, sometimes people get comfortable in those situations and they joke and they express things that maybe outside of a business relationship shouldn't be discussed, shouldn't happen, even if you're cool. That's up for debate. But it sounds like she and Skip developed a friendship. The funny thing is, she went to HR for several other situations, but never went to HR about Skip's behavior. She mentions that there was a situation with Skip and another Fox female host, Jenny Taft, where they didn't like each other, and that there was an HR situation that got Jenny essentially moved out of her position. And then later she was put on a show and set up to fail. There's another talent at Fox that is kind of realizing they might have been the victim of the same circumstance. And we'll get into that in a second. But what was happening with Nishin is she was getting into it, so it seems, with other workers, but she said she saw these individuals not be punished by HR, and that's why she didn't go to HR for what she alleged was happening with Skip. Now, for her part, she does say in there that Skip said to her he was trying to help her and protect her when Charlie and Joy wanted out of her job. She tried to get him to keep, he said that he tried to put in a good word for her, but that they weren't hearing it. And allegedly, this is when sort of some of the additional flirts came in and he was saying that he loved her or whatever the case may be and things of that nature. Now, the thing with Shannon Sharpe was that Charlie Dixon allegedly told Skip, her Nishin, that Shannon and Nishin had a relationship. Skip is, according to several people, very competitive, and he got in his feelings about that, but allegedly it was done as manipulation. Skip allegedly told Nishin that Charlie told her, hey, you can always get another pretty blonde to catch your hair. So that is kind of the details on that and why it involves Joy. Now, why it could involve Marcellus Wiley, let me set up this clip here because, listen, things can get interesting really, really fast, right? And of course, it's not pulling up because I want it to, probably because I'm not really doing it correctly, but that's okay. All right. So I'm going to add in this clip. And this is Marcellus Wiley kind of talking about what he was made aware of when, let's see, why isn't it playing? I know that there's when I try to do this stuff, bear with me, please. It doesn't come through.
Ooh, the only one that made me say, what? Was that it came from the top down. If you remember, friend of mine, Charlie Dixon, friend of mine, Jamie Horowitz, was released for harassment issue, right? So I never thought in the turnover of the regime from Jamie Horowitz, who's doing amazing right now, and Charlie Dixon, that would still be the culture. I never thought that. Now, as I sit here in my home basement studio, thank you for Fathead right here, on the rocks, presented by Fathead. As we sit here, people start hitting me. They say, Wiley, you never knew fully why it was starting to get weird at the end. And I didn't. I'm on show with Acho. I've known Joy Taylor before she was born. Like literally I knew her since hello because Jason Taylor and I came out the same year. That's my dog. And I was like, oh, that's your little sister running around the field, et cetera. That's how it started. She comes in, and all of this in complexion looked to me like Emmanuel Acho comes onto my show after Jason Whitlock leaves. It was kind of like some ninth inning stuff. We were like, yo, we scrambling, it's COVID. Jason Whitlock is doing his own thing, independent. Pat McAfee is killing it. And
so I'm going to pause it right there for a second. So essentially, he's breaking down the circumstances that led to Acho getting his own show. Not just his own show, but a show that eventually featured Joy. So here is the thing that he found strange. He was another individual that kind of got moved along out of his positioning as a host. He had been there for a while. You know, they were kind of playing with him as far as the money, the show, what they wanted to do with his contract and where things go. And so he ended up being offered something that wasn't up to par. Well, forensic accountant says, I like Joy. I have nothing negative to say about her. I like Joy too. I'm entertained by her commentary. On one hand, if, though not morally correct, if these married individuals are fooling around and having these relationships, that's really their business. No, it's their business. And it should be personal. But if Charlie was using that position to pull people in front of the camera rolls or push them out, that's where it gets tricky, and that's where the legalities come into this. Now, the question comes, due to Nishin's friendship, is this what actually took place? Did these people actually move her out of her role because they were done with her, or because it was no longer a fit within the set? Like I said, there were several situations that she mentioned that involved HR, but none of them involved Skip. So the thing that's curious to me is, I know you say that you saw all these powerful people go to HR and nothing happened and talent get rewarded, but you were there for a decade. You didn't, once you saw the environment was kind of dirty and muddy, you didn't want to move on before it jeopardized your job? It's just a question. It's not a fault, but it's just a question. What also came up as far as Marcellus is that, you know, he and Jason Whitlock's old show eventually became Speak, which was Speak for Yourself with Marcellus and Jason. Initially started off with Colin Cowherd. Now, the thing with that is that Jason says that, you know, as far as he goes, he doesn't really feel like he would have a case, but Marcellus might. And he is thinking about getting into the details and seeing if anything is true that she's alleging, because Marcellus makes it very clear he heard rumors about Joy and Acho, didn't think too much of it. But now, if they were allegedly colluding to get this show, which was Marcellus's show, and had somehow Charlie's backing to move Marcellus out of the way, and it wasn't from a professional perspective, then he potentially also could have a lawsuit. So it makes things really, really tricky when it comes to that factor. But we'll have to see what develops with that. But those are the extra details I think no one's really talking about. They're just talking about what Joy allegedly did to get her job, and if it's fair, if it's right, you know, did she do it? I find it interesting that no one is having as much smoke for Skip, who allegedly was pushing unwanted advances around. Again, tricky situation when you could fear for your job, and that's why professionally it's always said, even if you're attracted, stay away from those workplace situations, because it does create an interesting dynamic. But what if Skip didn't realize that she felt intimidated? What if he really thought that they were friends, and some of these conversations were said in jest, in fun, and not to be taken seriously? And what if they weren't taken seriously until a lawyer got a hold of them and she lost her job? It's just a thought. Again, I'm not saying that that's what took place. Another interesting thing that she alleged was that Joy's ex-fiance, Earl Watson, former NBA player, coached, I can't remember where he's coaching at right now, that he was paid off by Fox Sports, that their wedding deposit and some other expenses were paid to him to keep quiet because he discovered details about Joy's alleged relationship with this Charlie individual. that's something else that Nishin is alleging in this lawsuit. So we'll have to see how all of that plays out. But Marcellus jumping in the mix and kind of confirming some of the rumors, the details, the timelines of things is certainly interesting. It should also be noted that Nishin's lawsuit is potentially a class action lawsuit. She is saying that she is also petitioning and opening it up for anyone who has worked for Fox Sports and didn't receive their proper wages, were not paid complete overtime wages, and some other things of that nature. So we will have to see where it goes. Makeup artists and talent for sports shows is not something that hasn't been an area that has had lawsuits, litigation, accusations like this before. The NFL Network has endured their own. So is ESPN. Jamie Horowitz, who was at ESPN and then came to FS1 and brought Skip. Marcellus mentioned him in that other clip. He had some accusations of him, which caused him to step down. So a lot happening. All right, next up, I talked briefly last week about Drake's Fightin Irish diss towards LeBron, where he threatened to, thinly veiled, I should say, ruin LeBron's image and things of that nature. And I also mentioned how LeBron would go every summer with the Four Horsemen. Those are his boys, Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, and Randy. I think Randy's last name is Mims. I could be wrong. But they would go to Caravana every summer and have a good time. There's some video out there of, LeBron hanging out there, doing whatever, just being the person that he always is, right? But it should be noted there's not really a lot of paparazzi in Toronto. So he was just having a good time. Well, DJ Akademiks feels like he has the down low on all of this. And he is suggesting that LeBron needs to fall back and keep cool because Drake really has some information on him and can let the chopper sing. He said that allegedly Drake was setting it up for LeBron and that LeBron is being, treacherous, basically disloyal by siding with Kendrick. But I do want to ask the question because remember, it wasn't too long ago when Drake was on tour and after LeBron James Jr., not LeBron, suffered his situation at USC with his heart, that during the tour, when Drake would open up and have like different celebrities and famous people walk out with him during one of the numbers, he had Bronny walk with him. So they were friends at one point, but maybe they fell out. Maybe something happened. Maybe there's some other reason why LeBron is no longer rocking with Drake. Like something happened behind the scenes. I don't know why people aren't considering that as a perspective. Like, yeah, we were friends and now we aren't. And maybe it's something deep. I remember there's a video of Savannah James at a game with LeBron. It might have been Bronny's game at SC, maybe back at Sierra Canyon. Can't quite remember. And she did not look happy when Drake stepped up to speak. She kind of gave him the cold shoulder. So you never know what might have went down behind the scenes. However, DJ Akademiks, like I said, he had a lot to say. So I am going to, now, why is this not working? I guess I'm learning this. Be patient with me, guys. Be patient with me. I'm going to get this together. But I am going to play you what Akademiks said is going on with as far as LeBron. So let's get into that.
Teasing it? Let me just tell you what I've heard. Yo, LeBron, you and Drake used to go on two-mans, okay? You've been cheating on your goddamn wife. Drake used to facilitate the host, and basically, essentially, you can't dance to a song about him being a pedophile. He used to supply you with the bitches. I'm sorry, my nigga. Yes, if I'm Drake, I snitch on you too. Sorry, buddy. You can't do that. No. You've been living a lie, and everybody been thinking you're this perfect guy, but when you come to Canada, I know some of the whores. When you come to Canada, you come to certain places, I'm supplying you with the white women you love. You don't even like black chicks. White.
So that is Akademiks a little bit. There's more. His version of events on what the deal is with LeBron and Drake. Now, the question remains, one, if they did fall out of favor, right? And yeah, LeBron was up there partying to Kendrick's music and the jabs. He still didn't reveal publicly whatever happened, if that's what the case is. So as far as a friendship goes, is it not petty to run it back and start dropping that information? Again, let's be clear though. It's not like, maybe not to the overarching public, but generally speaking, people have made rumors, assessments, thoughts about LeBron's fidelity for years. He's never been caught doing anything wrong. We've never heard Savannah say anything. It's just theories in action, but people whisper about it. And being that he's a professional athlete, most people think it's par for the course. I agree, forensic accountant. DJ Akademiks does the most. And he continues to, not that we're not all inserting ourselves into the general conversation about it, but he inserts himself in a particular way, implying almost that he is Drake's mouthpiece. And so I have questions. He might be. We know that he and Drake were in communication, but Drake has never shown up front and center with him. He's alluded to phone calls with him, but he probably is not wrong in that is why Drake is offended. Now, whether the actions happen with whom and whatever, we don't know. As far as we are aware, LeBron is part of the Black Men Don't Cheat contingent, faithful Black men, and he is loving on his wife. And so that is what we're gonna, kind of leave it at until proof is further brought forward. You know what I'm saying? Just because without proof, what does it matter if Savannah's cool and she's rocking with whatever she does or doesn't know? That's all we can do at the end of the day with that part of it. But I feel like it's nasty work, the way that he's trying to drag LeBron into this and throw him under the bus, when really your beef is still over there with Kendrick, Future, Metro Boomin, and whomever else. Deal with that, Drake. Or better yet, take that hiatus and come back with bars, maybe an acting role, something different. But, fall back, because right now you're looking real junior high. And this is from someone who has been a Drake fan. I appreciate Drake's music, but something obviously happened with him and LeBron, and we will just have to wait to see the details on how that plays out. All right, so I guess this has been a sports themed day. I got maybe two more stories here. The first up is, we know Jimmy Butler has asked for a trade out of Miami. He said he's no longer happy there on the court. He's really happy off the court, but is he? So he is calling out his children's mother. He has 3 children under the age of 6, right? One is a newborn son, less than a year old. They have broken up, and he allegedly is upset that his former girlfriend, Caitlin Norwalk, is asking for monthly child support for their 3 kids, Riley, Brian, and Kyan. I believe those are their names, of $55,000 a month, right? So check out what his lawyer said in court, right? Because he's saying that they've tried to do mediation to work it out. She's 34 years old. She doesn't work. He said that she spends a tremendous amount of money that he gives to her. But per Jimmy and his lawyer, his thoughts are, mother, meaning the baby mama, is not entitled to live as if she is married to a National Basketball Association player. Now, Jimmy, did you feel that way when you were popping out the babies with her? 3 of them. Did you feel that way? I mean, I just have to ask that question. Listen, I understand on one hand, $55,000 is an extremely large amount of money for someone to be receiving every month that is not on the basketball court. But what you should realize is that $650,000 a year that it adds up to is, I think, not even 8% of his yearly salary. And I understand that salary doesn't go on forever. But if you were that concerned about the monthly output that you would have to pay for these children, perhaps you should have done or made other measures in the meantime so that you're not finding yourself in this predicament. And of course, everyone thinks they're different. Everyone thinks that they're special, but you have a litany of situations that have happened before you that show that even in the best of circumstances, things happen and people get caught up. So I feel like if you did not feel like she was a wife material, I'm just asking, you don't have to answer, Jimmy, not that he would, but why it was okay for her to be the mother of your children 3 times over. Just wondering, just trying to figure that out. At any rate, that's it on that. We'll have to see what that ends up coming down to as far as The Wire. And lastly, Shaq and Dwight Howard have resumed their beef back and forth on Twitter. We know that it started because of the Superman nickname, but did you know, allegedly, back in the day when Shaq was with the Heat and Dwight was with the Magic, that there was a young lady that they were both dealing with that the other knew they were dealing with, and they would have conversations back and forth, throwing shots at each other, mostly allegedly Shaq throwing the shots towards Dwight via this young lady for her attention. So that's obviously not current. That would be about 20 years ago, but that is allegedly part of why there is forever beef kind of on site, but not, because we know Dwight pitched some type of boxing match, fighting, some type of martial arts or interaction with Shaq, and Shaq turned it down. But I mean, come on, why would you? Like, are we really going to do that? I mean, yeah, I don't think I want to see that. I think it might be a little tricky. At any rate, that's your update. Check me out Monday through Friday. I'm on KBLA Talk 1580 for more entertainment stories. I also will obviously be still live streaming here, and check out the interviews. I hope you are having a good Saturday night. Thanks for locking in with me. I appreciate it.